So we've been working on some HTML. This is the page I was looking at in class, cat page, and I've tidied up all the HTML heading and paragraph tags, and even done a bullet point list at the end, which you'll see down here, using the UL unordered list tag with list item tags. We've got a picture on here. We're going to talk about pictures here, a very specific issue that we see a lot with pictures. I've actually got another image to illustrate my point. I've got cat and I've got cat2.jpg in the same folder, so I'm just going to bring that one up. It's actually a nice picture of the cat, but if I reload it, we will see it is way too big. This image is directly off my phone. This previous one, so I'll just show you, it really is way too big. The cat.jpg, I'd actually done a little bit of processing on it. I just resized it, and that's what we're going to look at here. So very common issue, resizing images. So why do we want to resize it? Obviously because it just doesn't fit. Also because it's too large in terms of file size. Like this one is 63.4 kilobytes. This one is 1.39 megabytes, way larger. And so if you're on a mobile phone, it's going to use up all your data, or it's just going to be slow. I don't know if you noticed, it took a long time to actually render. So what do we do? Well, the easy answer is we Google it, but I'll just point out there's a bit of a problem here. We can Google how do I resize images, and I see that people do that a lot, and they come to some page like this and they go, they're resizing W3 Schools, very valid source, but they say do this, specify width and height as attributes in the image tag. Well, that works, kind of, but it's a problem and not the right solution. Now I'm going to show you why. So I'm just going to copy those, and I'm just going to drop them right in here. Width equals 500, height equals 333, Control S, and reload, and we'll do it with cat2.jpg, not cat, because cat2 is the one that's way too big. And you'll see it still takes forever to load, because it's still 1.39 megabytes, even though it looks much smaller. But I don't know if you can tell, but it's also got the aspect ratio wrong now. It's all squished, it's been flattened, because 500 to 333 is not the same ratio as the original image. A very common problem that I see. And we just don't want to do it this way. It's just kind of not the right way to... It was the right way to do it in 1996, but that's over 20 years ago, so we don't do that anymore. So what do we do? Well, there's a few other answers to it. You can do it in style. That's a valid thing to do. We can also, when we do bootstrap, we will make it a responsive image, so it'll basically resize itself to fit inside whichever box we want it to be in, which is pretty cool. We want it to do that. But neither of those will solve the issue that it's still 1.39 megabytes. What we really need to do is actually resize it. So typically what I would do is open with an image editor of choice, and you can go Photoshop, but Photoshop just feels a bit overpowered for the job, and you often have to fight the licensing and so on. So I use paint.net, free download, and it works really well. So I can just go to the image and I can say image resize. Now this screen here is actually 1920 wide, and you can see the original image was 4618 pixels. So I'm going to go for more like about 600. And you'll notice that because it's got this maintain aspect ratio, it's automatically calculated the correct height to go with that width. So if I click OK and save, it'll probably ask me about compression. Now this is a whole other topic, of course. What level of quality do we want? We could go like real low quality. That's not what we want, is it? We want sort of the lowest quality we can get away with. It looks decent on our web page, and there can be a bit of trial and error there and a bit of experience, and also looking at file size. 64.2 kilobytes, that seems pretty good for what we were looking at. I will point out as well that we could also have done a bit of a crop on this. This image has got a lot of extra space on it, so if it was me, oops, that's the wrong thing, that's the wrong tool, wasn't it? Where's my toolbar? Here it is. I would normally have say done something like this and done an image crop to selection, but I've done that before. I'm not going to do that right now. Anyway, so back to my page, cat2.jpg, yep, that's correct. Back over to here and reload. And it looks much the same, to be honest, but I've still got the width in there, haven't I? Width and height. Gotta watch that. Delete, Control S, reload. That's better. But you'll notice it came up instantly because it's only 64 kilobytes rather than 1.4 megabytes. So that's most of what I want to talk about with images, but there is one last thing. If I take this and I put it into the W3C validator, what I will get is it will complain about the image must have an alt attribute. And it shows me what it should look like. It says, does it? Actually, no, it doesn't, but it does give me the information on here. So alt attribute is for accessibility. You know, if someone's using a screen reader, someone's got impaired vision, and there's quite a lot of people with impaired vision, and they use a screen reader to access the internet. And what will happen is that will sort of speak what's on the page, and when it gets to the image, it will say whatever's in the alt tag. And it does give you some guidance on what you should do here. Is to graphically represent concepts and information, you should say something. If it's purely decorative, you just put alt equals speech mark, and there's some more information there which you can read in your own time. So just to get rid of my error, I'm going to put here alt equals speech mark cat, and Control S, Control. So why is it all gone purple? It's all gone purple because I have missed a speech mark. Syntax highlighting is your friend. It points out to you when you have made errors, like I had made an error there. So Control A, Control V, check. Should have a green bar of goodness. There we go. No errors or warnings to show. So just to recap what I've done here, this original image was way too big, so I resized it to fit my web page because that's a better option than using width, height, styles, or even responsive style for in Bootstrap. Quite a lot covered, but you get used to the detail of that. Hope that's helpful.